Hello and welcome to this 63rd Lukozer retro game review video. And for this one it is Action Biker, or to give it a more accurate title, Clumsy Colin Action Biker. Yes, this has actually, well, I don't know if it was officially licensed. The fact that it mentions KP skips throughout the loading screens suggests that it probably was. And this was released by Mastertronic, so of course only a $1.99 game. At the time, Mastertronic had only released very simple games, and whilst this isn't exactly, you know, it wasn't going to beat the likes of Impossible Mission and Whizball and Firefly and all that. It's sort of the bridge between the very basic early Mastertronic games and when they went on to producing much more professional, polished games that would rival the likes of Ocean and Imagine and all the rest of them. So let's get this underway. Would help if I press the right thing. Right, now you are in this completely 360 degree environment, and the object of the game is to go around collecting all of these flashing objects which all appear in a set order. So if you can remember where they are, you have a pretty good chance of progressing pretty well. Unfortunately, I can remember where the first two are. I only have a vague recollection of where the third is, and I remember where the fourth is. After that, yeah. Now, you can actually go a lot faster than this. You can get up quite a bit of speed in this game. I'll just show you here. As you can see, it's certainly a damn sight faster than the likes of, you know, Super Hang-On or Enduro Racer and all those shit. Now, you only have a limited amount of fuel, but if you stop at the petrol station there, you can refuel. You have 5 bikes, 5 lives. You can improve the bike as you go along by getting things like, okay, there's the third one, that's actually the one I thought was the fourth, so right, we'll grab that highway code book. That means it's the fourth one that I'm not too sure where it is. You have to just basically keep exploring around the area to find the next item. I have a feeling it's inside that walled area here. Yep, here it is. And if this is the item I'm thinking, yeah, the gearbox. So now, press fire to change between low and high gear, and it means you have better acceleration at low gears when you're first setting off. When you're having to go through rather carefully through, you know, sections like this, it's not always a good thing. Now, this game actually uses exactly the same control method as Miami Vice. With forward is always accelerate, back is always decelerate, and left and right rotates you left and right no matter what way you're facing. And yet, because it has this 3D perspective in it, it works a lot better than Miami Vice did. So let's test out the gearbox then. So, see, the acceleration is decent. Acceleration is now a lot better. Unfortunately, yeah, getting into a straight line is not so good. So it's changed down to low gear to slow down. So selecting low gear is actually a pretty good way of... oh, there's the next item. Unfortunately, there's no reverse. I completely lost the thread of what I was saying. Not for the first time, I hear you say. What do I get here? Gloves. Oh, great. Right, let me just put my fag out and then I can try playing this a bit more. I'm also running a bit low on fuel, so I'm going to head to the petrol station. So basically you just stop in the petrol station for the fuel to go up. There we go. And then you bugger off again. So not only is the petrol station quite good at refueling, you don't have to pay for it. Can't argue with that. I have a feeling the next object is in that pen area there. Nope, it's not. Right, where is it? And this area here is, oh there it is the drag strip, and at the end of the game you have to win at a drag race against, so I don't think it's against anyone, you just have to be able to do the drag race within a certain time. But you can't do that until you've got all of your bike upgrades. There's a turbocharger which allows you to go even faster, and I think it improves your acceleration rate even more. That's all around here. I've got myself in a area I really don't want to be in. Okay, got out of there, no problem. But controls are good. The music's okay. The sound effects on the bike, I mean, they're actually not too bad. It does sound like a motorbike. Unfortunately, I hate the sounds of motorbikes, but well, you can't have everything. Alright, graphically it's, well, pretty crap, isn't it? But and bearing in mind, I think this game came out in 85, early 85 at that, and it came out at a time when, it came out at a time when Mastertronic were writing games on you know, threadbare budget, and so of course their games were quite basic. Like I say, this was really the one that bridged the gap between their basic games and then them starting to produce much more polished and professional looking games. So in that regard it's quite a major game for them. This was really the one that kick-started them as a label that people started taking seriously. I have no idea where the next object is. Let's see if we can spot it around here. As you can see, if you go at high speed, you go through your fuel at quite a rate. Now the items are going to start becoming more difficult to reach, so you're going to have to start doing things like riding along those roller coasters and things to be able to try and get them. Or jumping into penned off areas and things like that. Preferably without riding into anything in the background. So never a good idea. There's the roller coaster bit. Right, let's see if we can get up on here. There we go. Can we make it all the way? Oh, it's a close one. Okay. Well, I think that's the furthest I've got round. Oh, right, and we've found the next object anyway. Large fuel tank. There we go. So now the fuel either goes down at a slower rate, or we can put more fuel in. Well, let's head to the petrol station and see which it is. Yeah, there we go, so it now fills it right the way up to the green level. And that's really pretty much all I can show you. So how do I rate the game? It's an extremely playable game. It's pretty good actually. I quite like this one. It's, you know, it's nothing remarkable. I don't think it has any pretenses. It's not trying to be anything remarkable. It's just trying to be what it is, a fairly basic but extremely playable game. And in that regard, it works really well. Like I say, graphically, it's, you know, nothing great. It's pretty ugly. But considering when it came out, you know, you need to keep your expectations somewhat realistic. Sound-wise is fine. You know, the music is, you know, adequate without being remarkable. The sound effects, particularly on the bike. When I talk about particularly on the bike, it's pretty much it, apart from when you crash. But you know, I think the bike sound effects are pretty good. I mean, it does sound like a bike. It's about the only time I can think of in the Commodore 64 where either a car or a bike actually sounds like the thing it's meant to be. And compare this to something like Enduro Racer. And gameplay is, you know, pretty good. It's you know, open, completely unrestricted. It's open without getting boring. You know, it's not like you're wandering around looking for things to do. You have a set, you know, target. You know what you have to do. So, yeah, all in all, it works on every level. So, I'm actually doing an awful lot better than I thought I was going to do. I thought this video would have ended by now. So, what score do I give it? I will give it... Okay, there's the next one. That one looks like it's going to be in a slightly more tricky place. Well, I've got it anyway. All that for sunglasses. I would give it 7.5 out of 10 because it's, you know, a damn sight more playable than a lot of the you know, full price games of the time, and it's still, you know, decent. It's still a decent enough game to play today. So yeah, I quite like this one, and I think 7 out of 10 is a pretty good score for it. So I'm going to leave it there at the petrol station, having refueled again. So there you go, Clumsy Colin Action Biker from Mastertronic. 7.5 out of 10. Perfectly decent game. So that brings this video to an end. We'll see you at the next one.